It's 2011.
Yeah.
Games of 2012.
Yep. A little more than 500 days away.
This period for the next, well, through December, is for the athletes to determine who will be their country's representative.
Yeah.
I mean, the system's in place.
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty exciting to
really
see. I mean, this is kind of the fruits, not necessarily, the games will be the fruits of your labor, but you've got this huge group right now, and every one of them has an opportunity to represent their country.
Absolutely. We're in the second half of the quad. We're on the back nine, so to speak. Year one is about, getting organized and ramping up. Year two is about really, stretching your legs and asserting your program. Year three is about game selection, and year four is about the games. And this is the year, and it's a year-long process. And I'm sure we'll talk in a minute about our trial system and how it's changed. But in December of this year, a little more than 7 months away, 8 months away, we're going to know our Olympic representatives in 9 of the 10 Olympic classes, and soon after that we'll know the representatives for the 3 Paralympic classes. We won't know our women's match racing representatives until May of 2012. We've got a different system there. But yeah, it's exciting. We're neck deep in it now. I mean, it's a 4-event qualifying system to earn the right into the first trials event in Weymouth in June. The 4 events are Miami, Palma, Hyères, and Medemblik. That's like a qualifying series, and that will determine priority order for Weymouth in June, and then Weymouth will determine priority order for Perth in December, and the combined scores of Weymouth and Perth will dictate who goes to the Olympics. It's a very different system, but I think it's the right system for us now.
It's a new system.
It's a totally new system, and that's something else that there's been a lot of debate on, and I have said many, many times, and I'll keep saying, that if you have quality and quantity, underscoring and quantity, in terms of your fleet, that the best system is the old U.S. system of a one-event, winner-take-all, U.S.-only trials. If you have quality and quantity of fleet, I am a firm believer that that is the best system. But once quality or quantity or both of the depth of fleet starts to go down, that system's validity starts to drop in my mind. And this is completely tied into the rising professionalism and required time commitment and required level of funding to compete at this level, that the number of people who are going to be able to make the commitment is going to be smaller over time. I mean, when it was a part-time amateur game, in the 80s, sure, you would have 30 boats show up for your trials because it was a lower barrier to entry. Now it's a higher barrier to entry. The fleets have been getting smaller. It happens all over the world. There are very few countries that have, even 4 or 5 competitive boats in a discipline. I mean, Britain has it in a few classes, but in most countries, you have 1, maybe 2. So we're going to use the series of existing high-level international events, and what's also nice about that is we'll be choosing our American representatives not just based on how they are against other Americans, but how they are against the rest of the world, and that's how the medals are given out. So we're okay with that. We think it's good.
And I'm going to catch on that word "choosing" because it is it's a law in the U.S.
Yeah, choosing's the wrong word.
The choice can't be subjective.
There's nothing subjective about it, and we're required to publish an extensive document called selection procedures, and they're approved and reviewed by USOC. So you're right, choosing is the wrong word. It's entirely based on athlete performance and it's natural selection.
As much as perhaps in some events you'd like it to be subjective. But you and you made a decision in all events to treat all events equally in terms of the
same
selection
system
process.
For all of them. Yeah, we like the idea of naming all of our team as much of our team as possible at the same events. We would love to have done the match racing as well at Weymouth and Perth, but there's so few spots at the international match racing events that it was going to be really hard to make it fair. So yeah, we like doing them all on the same schedule and being able to announce the team at the same time. You mentioned, Dean, maybe you'd prefer to be able to do some of it subjectively. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I'll push back on that. And I'll go back to my own experience, because if we had a subjective-based system, I never would have even been within 3 zip codes of an Olympic trials in 2000, because it was a natural, competition-based selection system. I put together a good team, and I was sailing with Tommy Burnham and Tony Ray, and then eventually Ed Baird in the Soling class, and we put together a good program, and we had good funding that we generated for ourselves, and I would never have been part of that if it was a subjective system. So personally, I like the fact that somebody can come out of nowhere. I respect that because that's my roots. But from putting my program hat back on, obviously, I want a system that not only satisfies, the law, Ted Stevens Amateur Sportsback, but also is going to give the greatest chance for the best prepared athletes to succeed. We're not going to put out a one race, 1 day trials where upsets are possible. We want a long series because whoever, and I don't care who it is, but whoever is the best prepared, that's the person that I want to win. The person who's worked the hardest, put in the time, and gets the best results. Because that person will give us the greatest chance of succeeding at the games. So from a program perspective, I don't want it. I don't want it to be, sort of a seat of the pants thing. I want it to be who grinds it out and earns the spot, who's best prepared.